Future Design Podcast.
So you said Asian cultures. Obviously, I know that they're all different, but let's go into specifics. I mean, like, how are they actually different? So, like Indonesia, I'm sure you traveled around everywhere and interviewed all these people in your book and stuff, right? So, like, how are they different?
So
Can you give an example from it could be in comparison with like Gojek
yeah.
to a Grab, or you can choose whatever example that you like. But how do you see like certain differences?
Yeah, so I think the most important thing to take into account is infrastructure. When you're talking about like Infocom, for example, levels of access to it and levels of development, they're so different in different countries, right? The level of internet access in Singapore is not going to be anywhere near what it is in Cambodia, for example.
Sure.
So that plays a large part in the cultures of business around Asia. So, for example, Indonesia actually has a really huge e-commerce market, right? Compared to some place like, you call it emerging economies. So even compared to places like Vietnam's actually up and coming. It's booming now. But again, compared to economies like Cambodia or Myanmar, Indonesia has a significantly larger amount of the population online, shopping online, and things like that. So you have to take this into account when you want to start your business. Like, you could start a business online in Cambodia or Vietnam, but it's not going to be the same as doing it in Indonesia, because when the market's already so saturated, what's going to make you better than everyone else? And then again, that comes into going offline again, right? You start off online, but if you want to engage consumers, you have to go offline. You have to meet the people that you're catering to. How do you get inside their heads? How do you get to know what they want? Things like that. So, for example, one of the people that we interviewed in the Indonesian context, what they did was they were running a small business, but they knew that they had to improve consumer engagement. So what they did was they actually went out on the streets, gave out flyers, old school. No one does that anymore except for and they did promotions where they were like, okay, if you wear our clothes and take pictures of yourself, then we'll give you rewards for it. Things like that. So really getting the people involved and getting to know what they want. And another way of doing that, for example, in the Philippines, there's a huge online presence as well. So many people are on Facebook, on LinkedIn, even professionally speaking, right? Even on LinkedIn. So it's not that difficult to actually get online, find your niche, have conversations with them, not just observe, but actually have conversations with them, find out what they want, ask them questions and listen to what they want. Whereas that approach might not work in some place like Myanmar, right? So
meaning like they're okay with just email exchange, or you have to do everything offline?
Yeah, exactly. So in some countries, it's okay to just converse online. It's acceptable. Whereas in other places, they would want to meet face to face. They would want that FaceTime. They want that interaction in order for them to trust you, right? I think in a lot of Asian countries, especially, you see that difference in terms of it's a stereotype, right? But they say like in the West, you can keep it professional in the office, and then that's where it stays. Whereas in Asia, there's this idea of that, no, you have to take it outside of the office. You have to go for drinks.
Yeah.
You have to really get to know each other, and then I'll trust you, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And we used to joke that when I started working in Japan, all the business happened in a smoking room.
Exactly.
And then you have to go out and get hammered.
Yeah.
And then you actually start doing business.
Yeah.
So I used to fake smoking and go downstairs and then mingle with the people, because that's where most of the decisions were actually made, and it was not at the meeting room or in the office.
Exactly.
But but I'm sure there's like a degree of offline activities that are happening in businesses, right? So in certain cultures, maybe you could give me an example where like you do have to go out and get shit faced, or some places where it's okay to keep it kind of professional and you don't have to do so much offline stuff. So let's what kind of examples do you have?
So it's tricky, right? I mean, what do these interactions entail outside of the office? How do I come in here and try to win your favor? And that kind of overlaps with issues like corruption and bribery as well. If I bring you on a night out because I want to get to know you better as a client, does it count as bribery if I'm going to pay for all your drinks? Right? Some people spend hundreds of dollars in a night just entertaining their clients. Could that be considered bribery? Also, just things like gift giving. So in Cambodia, it's actually, from what I've heard, right, it is perfectly acceptable to give gifts to potential clients, and in fact, they expect it. So if you don't do that, then you might not get their business.
Yeah.
And Transparency International actually carried out a study, just perceptions of corruption within countries like Vietnam and Cambodia. And in some of these places, business owners, like maybe as much as 60% of business owners found that they had to give gifts. But obviously this wouldn't fly in a place like Singapore.
Or these like really expensive gifts, or
yeah, exactly.
like Rolexes
Cars
or
or
really
just things like that. Yeah.
Right.
I'm not sure about about cash gifts. I'm not really sure. Yeah, but so yeah, how you take it out of the office really matters, right? You don't want to be construed as actually trying to bribe someone if you're not.
Sure.
You can't do that in places like Singapore or Hong Kong where anti-corruption laws are so strict.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think that's the main difference about understanding what is expected of you as someone who's coming into the market and trying to win favor.
Future Design Podcast.